Okay, good evening. Welcome to this regular scheduled business meeting on this 22nd day of November 2021. It's kind of interesting because I always call this the West Virginia holiday week. And of course, it being the first day of buck season for firearms. I hope everybody had I was going to open it up tonight to our hunters and let them tell their stories about their days, but I don't think that, I know I get a lot of time, I got a lot on the agenda, so I'm not going to give them my time. We'll just have to look at their smiles and know that they had a good day. Moving right along, anyway, I hope everybody had a great opening day, and more important than anything, a safe day. Moving right along, welcome to our guests this evening, and the first item on tonight's agenda is consideration of the council minutes of the meeting we held on November 8th of 2021.
Move to approve and waive the reading.
Second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. Council, the motion was to waive the reading. Are there any changes or amendments to those minutes as they appeared in your packet? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Nobody signed up for public comment? Okay, no public comment. We'll move right along. So actually, council, the next couple of agenda items are issues dealing with an approval of an emergency water line replacement situation. So what I want to do here before we get into these motions is just inform you what's taking place. 3 weeks prior to the week of November 8th, the city has been in overdrive trying to find a leak that we had in our system. Incidentally, this leak was causing issues with the Bright tank. And when I say causing issues, we know we have a leak when we have to pump extra hours to keep the tank at levels, especially in the evening when we wind down. More importantly, after the day use, when they wind down in the evening, it causes a little bit of extra pumping because we were trying to keep the Bright tank. I mean, we were never in any issue of people not having water issue, but just the levels we maintain in our tanks, we had to pump extra hours. Incidentally, the week of November 8th, the week of November 8th, actually on November 9th, the leak was discovered. Unfortunately, the leak is 20 feet deep underneath the Dairy Queen parking lot, or somewhere underneath Dairy Queen. Unbeknownst to me, I did not realize this, not being a native of the area, that when Dairy Queen went in, that area was actually filled in.
80,000 tons.
80,000 tons. Did not know that.
Yeah.
So back in the day, unfortunately, when that work was done, the utilities were not brought up to where they would have to be if that work were done in today's times. So we've got a situation where that line is somewhere between 18 and 20 feet deep, and it kind of comes off of Broad Street and goes down in through Dairy Queen, and then it kind of is down and it goes underneath Route 19. So that water line supplies Dairy Queen and the entire other side of Route 19, Burger King and all the residential, all that water we have out there, 300 plus customers plus commercial customers. So immediately we went into emergency mode when we finally discovered where the leak was at. And I gotta tell you, the crews diligently worked for 3 weeks trying to find the leak. We're losing somewhere between 35 and 50 gallons a minute. So once we discovered the leak, they brought it to me. Immediately I jump on the phone, and the first thing that we needed to secure was an engineer. The first engineer company that could get somebody here the quickest is who I was going to deal with. Fortunately, Thrasher Engineering brought to the table 7:30 the next morning. We had their best engineer for this type of situation on site. And incidentally, what we're going to do, I was unaware of this. I'm told probably about somewhere between 15 and 17 years ago, there was a leak in that line. And and many of you may remember, they dug out Dairy Queen, and there was a big massive hole, and you know, they worked on it. Well, when that happened, everybody on the other side was out of water 3 days. And so, you know, immediately when I start getting this kind of information, I panic. You know, here we are at this time of year. You know, we've got an emergency water leak situation. Incidentally, we brought Thrasher in, and they have been in overdrive. We teamed up with Region 4. We immediately started doing all of the appropriate filings and paperwork, working with the state, because what we're going to have to do, what we are going to do is we're going to fix this line correctly, and we're going to bring it up to the level that it should be. We're not going to dig down and fix a line that, you know, who knows, in X amount of days or years we could be going back down again. This is a situation that just should not be. The other thing I will tell you that's not a good thing about this, the location of this water line, is back in the day they didn't have the rules they do today, and this water line sets adjacent and parallel to the gas line. So it also creates a critical situation when you go try and dig this line out to do the repair, because down along this line is the gas line as well. So incidentally, partnering with Thrasher and Region 4, we've got everything in place, a lot of which you're going to pass here tonight. So I want to tell you two things. Immediately, Clay Riley with Thrasher said, Mayor, I think that if you, I'm aware of a potential, we could get some aid with this project from the Infrastructure Council in Charleston. So immediately, actually kind of ironically, they left out of here that morning and were calling me back as they were headed back to their offices, and they brought the engineer that actually designed the road bore, was actually doing the work on the way back. Got a hold of the Infrastructure Council in Charleston, and you're also going to see tonight, you're going to approve, they are going to give us $50,000 for this project. The project itself is going to run about $170,000, and so we're very fortunate to get the Infrastructure Council to come on board with us in this project and put $50,000 into the project. So incidentally, when we brought the infrastructure into the picture, they still required, as much as we could, to follow the laws of their funding. Now, you got two situations. Number one, if it's emergency, you fix it. You don't, you just fix it. You know, even a lot of the permitting you do after the fact. I mean, if you got 300, 400 people out of water and businesses out of water, you do what you got to do, and then you back up and dot I's and cross T's. But incidentally, with this money, what we decided to do, ironically, the first thing we did is on that very day, we started trying to locate the pipe and the casing that we need to run under Route 19. Thankfully, we have located that, and all of that is in shipment. So we were probably not looking until even getting everything on site, unless the water line broke. We probably were not looking at until the week after Thanksgiving anyway. Now I will tell you that we have it set up right now with a company that can bore under 19, that if that water line blows, if it does, what it will do is it will shut water flow down on the other side of the road. I mean, you just won't have enough pressure. So immediately we would have to valve it off, because, you know, you got a big gaping water draining underground. If that happens, we've got it all set up. They will move in immediately, and it would be my prayer, getting everybody on site, getting the bore done, getting the line in. We would be talking in an emergency situation. It would be my prayer 24 hours. We could get them on site, get it dug, and get the bore in, and everybody's gonna react in a heartbeat. Without that, and I guess I should back up and tell you and clarify, if that happens, we're going down to repair the line. That's the only way we can keep them out of water just 24 hours. But that would be temporary. We're gonna fix it temporarily, and we're still gonna do the bore. Okay, but we've got that set up to come in if that happens. Otherwise, what the plan is, and we're still losing, we're still monitoring it, we're still at the same water loss. And mind you, now we're in week 4, week 5 of this water loss, because we discovered it almost 2 weeks ago. The plan is, and I just, say a prayer every night that we're going to make it to this. It will probably be not the week after Thanksgiving, but the following week, that we'll have everybody on site on regular schedule doing the bore and putting the new line in. If you take a drive through Dairy Queen parking lot, you will see over close to Doug's dumpster. In behind that dumpster is a fire hydrant, and that fire hydrant comes off of Broad Street, and it feeds the motel and community action, but that's not the same water line that Doug and the other side of the road is. It's not the same water line they're on. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring a 6-inch off of that line, 3 feet deep, bored under Route 19, and you can go out there and you'll see a lot of the markings and all the preliminaries been done. And then we will forever, never, ever have to worry about this situation again, because it's critical. And then again, just because of the depth of this leak, and actually what we how we finally found it is, there's a culvert in Doug's lot that we finally went down in, and we put somebody down in that culvert, and that's how we finally found the water leak. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring that water line up, and clearly you will see, if you see the gas tags out along 19, we're going more than we have to away from them, so our line will no longer be close to the gas line. But this will be a forever fix for this situation. So, anybody got any questions about that? And right now, if everything stays on schedule, and ideally what we ended up doing is putting the bore out on a 2-week bid, and so potentially by doing that, we think we still may get a little better rate than we initially got when we just had to call somebody and say, hey, can you come? And then you got to understand that the other interesting dynamics about this is, number one, the workforce out there today with these construction companies, and we're actually getting people to pull people off sites to come and do this for us. This isn't people that are sitting there not doing anything. Through connections and strings, we've been able to get people to come and respond, and of course, all have declared it an emergency. The state has recognized it, the state highways has recognized it, and at this point in time, I want to say a thank you to everybody because of the severity of what this could be if the line were to blow. We have had a whole heck of a lot of cooperation. And again, I give kudos to our people, our crews that have been looking for it, and then of course they're going to play an integral part in the repairs. And I will tell you, when you look at the cost, you think, man, $170,000 for what you're going to do, a road bore and so on and so forth. Well, that cost is offset also by the talent and the work and the skin that we're going to have in the game from the standpoint of helping it all get done. So anyway, anybody have any questions about that? So,
do you have any idea where this 50,000 gallons of water a month is going?
It's okay. So it's just draining. It's interesting, Chuck, because sometimes the water just finds a way to drain, even when it's in the ground.
Yeah, I think it makes it carry something.
Yeah. So yeah, it's but actually there is a drainage system that was put in. As a matter of fact, when you go down in that culvert, you go down about 18 to 20 feet.
Right.
And that was put in as the drainage system. So the water's making it to the drainage system. So at this time, we have no fear that it's created some cavity that's going to cause a sinkhole or anything like that. It's made its way to the, it's draining. It's not, You know, we've had, and that's, and thankfully, because of that drainage and that system, the drainage system that's underneath there, the stormwater drainage system, you know, that was also what allowed us to find it. They actually went down in it and back a ways, and that's how they found it.
How long have you haven't noticed it?
So, we had looked 3 solid weeks prior to the week of November 8th. And the leak was finally found on November 9th. And of course, we're already in the, you know, today's the 22nd. So you can see we've already been working all these details out. You know, we had to get bonded, permitted. Fortunately, with the fact that, you know, the leak has still been manageable, you know, we've been able to get everything put in place and do it all according to Hoyle. And it's just a matter of now praying that, you know, we get the crew in here, which will be probably not next week, but the following week. Everybody should roll in and do the repairs. But just so everybody knows, everything, all procedures are set up to respond immediately if the line would to blow. But it would cause for everybody, including Dairy Queen and everybody else on the other side, Irish Corner, all that housing and business on the other side would be out of water as soon as the bright tank on the other side drained. And you know how that is, you know, immediately when it happened, we would go on water conservation, but you know how that is. It's not going to take long for those people on that side of the road, as many customers as we have, to drain that tank. Plus, I think sometimes that almost works against you when you tell people to conserve, because everybody knows they're going to be running out of water. That's when they start filling bathtubs and everything else. So anyway, I feel really confident. We're 5 weeks into this leak now. And you know, what my prayer is the sucker hasn't blowed yet. It's not going to. We're going to get the fix in before it does. But just so y'all know, if it does, and you start hearing drastic stories about people out of water. And of course, you know, the other thing of it is of all the times for it to happen, here it is, you know, big holiday time where families gather. So, so far so good. We've been monitoring it closely, and we're not losing any more water. So the leak has pretty much been the same. Okay. So with that said, council, the item on the agenda, the next item on the agenda is approval of Thrasher Engineering agreement for emergency water line replacement.
Move to approve.
We have a first and a second. Is there any questions? And of course, council, that agreement was included in your packet. And in that agreement, also, you should have seen their cost, which I thought were real reasonable considering the emergency circumstances they came under. So first and second, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. The next item on the agenda is approval of emergency project resolution for emergency water line replacement project. And that's the resolution that's in the package. And this is actually for the infrastructure council. And you'll see that this is the resolution. Let me just read the resolution. Whereas a 35-gallon per minute leak on an existing 6-inch transit water line along US Route 19 in Somersville, which approximately 18 to 20 feet deep at this location, runs between a booster pumping station and a water storage tank and feeds many customers in between and causing reduced pressure and fire flows. That's another thing that's a big concern too. If we ever lose water, we lose fire. You know, technically you don't have fire hydrants over there that work either. Whereas emergency repairs are required to prevent continued excess loss resulting in reduced pressure and fire flows. Whereas the City of Somersville has requested from the West Virginia Infrastructure and Jobs Development Council Critical Needs Emergency Grant Program for funding assistance for this project. Whereas the IJDC has committed $50,000 critical need grant for the project. Whereas the City of Somersville has determined that the section of the 6-inch transit water line must be replaced, has reviewed and considered the requirements set forth in the West Virginia Code 5-22-1, because the water loss resulting from the leak is causing reduced pressure of fire flows, if not immediately repaired, causes threat to public health and safety. Adopted this 22nd day of November 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
We got a first and a second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the Region 4 PDC Administrative Agreement for Emergency Water Line Replacement Project. And council, that was in your packets as well. Any questions on the Region 4 PDC document?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a first and a second. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Council, the next item on the agenda is approval of Mayor Robert Schaefer's entry into the Public Employment Retirement System PERS effective July 1st, 2007, which would be the date that I initially qualified. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Okay, we'll take that as a first and a second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. The next item on the agenda is first reading of ordinance to approve current replacement pages to the Somersville codified ordinances. Council, that was also in your packet. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second, any discussion or questions? I've lost my, Amy, help me, or Gary. Who is it that professionally does this for us?
Walter Drain.
There you go, Walter Drain. City's been contracted with Walter Drain, and they, on a regular basis, review our ordinances, and they make sure that our ordinances statutorily keep up with state law, and so this is their annual update after their review of our codified ordinances. So we have a first and a second. Any questions? Any further comment, Mr. Recorder?
No, not this time.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. And we'll have the second reading at the next meeting. Okay, the next item I'd like to do, council, is read a proclamation. Whereas Thanksgiving week marks the 13th consecutive Christian Heritage Week in West Virginia, thus continuing a tradition of annual proclamations beginning with Governor Gaston Caperton in 1992 through 1996, and continued by Cecil Underwood from 97 to 2000, then Governor Bob Wise 2001 to 2004, Governor Joe Manchin 2005 through 2010, Governor Irway Tomlin from 11 to 16, and now Governor Jim Justice from 17 through 2021. And whereas 229 mayors from 139 cities, towns, and villages throughout the state of West Virginia have proclaimed Christian Heritage Week since 2001. And whereas local churches are encouraged to participate with relevant Sunday school lessons, sermons, patriotic songs, services, youth programs, and prayer meetings. Now therefore, let it be known that November 21st through the 27th, 2021, Thanksgiving week, is hereby proclaimed as Christian Heritage Week in the city of Somersville, West Virginia. And I invite all citizens to join me, actually join us as a governing body here, to observe it in your own way. Signed on this 22nd day of November, Robert L. Schaefer, Mayor, City of Somersville. Just wanted to get that out there. And just so you know, Council, with the assistance here of the staff at City Hall, in advance, this proclamation, along with a letter from me, is sent to every church in our city, encouraging them to celebrate and commemorate Christian Heritage Week in Somersville. Recorder's report.
I just have a couple of things to say, Mayor. First off, I had a great conversation with Shay Straight. He's a gentleman that's helping our Planning and Zoning Commission, and he is going to be prepared for next Monday. It's the 29th, and that meeting will begin at 6 o'clock. We will be broadcasting that via Zoom for anybody that would want to sign on. I believe they've been sent emails. You should have the Zoom information there, so just sign on. If you have any issues or you didn't receive that for some reason, please reach out to me. I do want to also add that just a little bit of the flow in our recorder's office and through the city office. I'm very pleased. I was just sitting here the other day, and while I was here, somebody came up and they filled out for a business license, and then I had a call at the same moment. Somebody else was asking questions about putting a building up. I'm just really excited about the way that we're moving as a city in regard to the community and how they've really latched on to some of these processes. How through Joey Groves has been doing a fantastic job out there in the field educating people. But that flow is going very well, along with the delinquencies. We have taken a little bit stronger approach, and we've taken a stronger approach and approached people with letters and looking at a lot of things like that. People are signing on to that, paying those delinquencies. We've got folks that have paid delinquencies very, very far back. We are still aggressively seeking those folks. So things are just headed in the right direction downtown, and I'm real excited. I want to thank the community. I want to thank Joey Groves and certainly the staff here at the city building who just keep it going, and things are running very, very well right now. So real excited about that. So please sign on with us on the 29th. I think it's going to be an exciting night. We're going to look at that comprehensive plan, and he's really getting it toward the end. And there's some exciting things. He'll have some questions for the commission, but overall, everything's looking very good and right on track.
Good. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Okay, Council, let me be clear here for the general public. Council, I want to invite you to the City Employee Breakfast that will be at the Arena and Conference Center December 16th at 7:30 a.m. This year we didn't get to have a picnic, so we're going to have a little breakfast to celebrate and have some fellowship with our employees and commemorate the 2021 year. So Conference Center, December 16th, 7:30. Let me be clear again to the general public. This is a city employee breakfast, and I'm inviting City Council. I made a mistake one year. I did something like this, and it was our picnic, and we had all kinds of people show up thinking we were having a community picnic. So as much as we'd love to have the whole community, it's just not in the cards this time. Council, the other thing, I have a roster here. The city of Somersville has been challenged by the Somersville Rotary Club, which I'm extremely proud of, actually a member of, and all the great community service they do. We've been challenged, and we did this years ago. It's back on the slate this year. They're actually going to ring the bell at Walmart for Salvation Army the weekend after us, the weekend of December 4th. I have 4 slots left here. I've got a roster here, so if you can find it in yourself to make time on these open slots, I'll pass this up and down. We've been challenged by the Rotary Club, and all I got to say is we're going to work real hard to make sure that they don't beat us. And when it comes down to at the end of the the day. We're actually going to be ringing the bell from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. They count the monies at the end of the 2 days and declare a winner, either the City of Somersville or the Rotary Club. So it's just a little spirited fun, raising money for a good cause, the Salvation
What
Army.
date's that?
December 4th. Yeah, and it'll come back down this way. And certainly if there's a time that you want to do it that's already taken, you can sign up, and the more the merrier. The other thing I wanted to just give you an update on, council, is if you remember back some time ago, myself and Beth Harris from Central River Powers, which is actually the operator, she works for the company that actually operates the hydro plant. We went down and made a presentation to the Joint Committee, Energy Committee, House and Senate. We have worked, all of us collectively, on putting together a resolution that I'm excited about, because not only does it ask for a lot of encouragement on behalf of the Corps of Engineers, it also addresses some concerns related to the rate of power sales of green energy, specifically speaking hydro energy, and then power purchase agreements. It kind of addresses some issues with the Public Service Commission, and then of course also speaks to the renewable energy credits that West Virginia did away with, the legislature did away with, and it encourages them to also revisit the possibility of bringing back those renewable energy credits to West Virginia. I can tell you that our credits from our plant are being used and sold in the state of Ohio, and that's merely because West Virginia doesn't recognize them. And that brings great value to the whole idea and concept and support of one state of renewable energy, clean, green energy. And one of the things that I've really highlighted with the state through this process and through the many different senators and delegates I've had the opportunity to conversate with is, especially where we're at right now today with the energy crisis, and we're certainly not here to have a discussion on that because we would be here for a while, but there's never coal and it's so vitally important to this state. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm 1,000% in support of coal and what coal's done for the great state of West Virginia and the continuation of mining coal in our state. But the reality of the matter is, a lot of these coal-powered energy plants that have closed are never going to open back up. They're just not going to open back up. So my thing to our West Virginia delegation and our national delegation, this is an opportunity for West Virginia to show some emphasis on and recognition on green energy. And of course, I'm specifically highlighting not just us, and this even goes on to say that there are other situations in this state that should be looked at from the standpoint of creating energy through dams. So anyway, got a finished resolution that was submitted to the House. It's my understanding that our delegate, Heather Tully, is going to introduce this to the House. Hopefully they can get it through. I've worked, somebody that we've worked, pretty regularly with is the House Energy Committee attorney, has helped us get this in this form. And of course now I'm reaching out to senators and I'm hoping that I'm going to get our local senator or the senator that's now responsible for the redistricting for our area to sponsor this same resolution in the House. So if anybody's interested in reading this, we can get you a copy, but there's some great stuff in this, and I just wanted to let you know that we continue to work on it, and I'm hoping that we're going to get an endorsement from both the House and the Senate on this resolution. The other thing I want to highlight here, let me run down my list. Want to remind everybody, and we got a long haul till our next council meeting. It's a 3-week break. We normally don't have that. So there's a lot happening between now and the next council meeting. So I want to remind everybody that we're going to have a live nativity, downtown nativity scene that's going to take place on Saturday, December 11th from 5 to 8 p.m. And that's the Mountain State Baptist Church, and it will be from Broad Street here, down Main Street, loop around by where the old U-Save was. There will be stuff in that lot. Both sides of the streets going down Main Street. It's going to come back up Water Street. It'll be here at the pavilion, and the whole idea is around this circle of Main Street from 5 to 7 p.m. It's a drive-through. So I just put a caution out there. We're not closing streets, but we're going to caution people getting into downtown area. All the activities will be off the road, but the whole idea and concept is it's going to be a drive-through. So invite everybody to come down. They put a lot of time, effort, and energy in it, and quite frankly, I think it's going to be a pretty neat display of a nativity set downtown Somersville. Want to also remind everybody the Christmas parade, Friday, December 3rd, downtown Somersville. Kids, Santa is coming to town. Kicks off at 6 p.m. This parade starts at the old parade route down here at the end of Main Street and just comes down Main Street. Everybody's invited to get in. All you got to do is have the Christmas spirit. You can get in the Christmas parade. Friday, December 3rd, kickoff is at 6 p.m. Santa will be available underneath the pavilion after the parade. A little change up in Santa due to the public health situation that we're still in. We have a sleigh that Santa and Mrs. Claus will set in, and the kids will be invited to walk up to the sleigh and take pictures in front of the sleigh with Mr. and Mrs. Claus. This year they're going to do their earnest. Santa's called us from the North Pole and said that him and Mrs. Claus got to make sure that they don't get the COVID before Christmas Day and get them gifts out. So they're still going to be a little protected this year with the kiddos. So they will be available, but they'll be in a sleigh, and you can take pictures of them in front of the sleigh. The other thing I want to highlight is the Somersville Youth Athletic Banquet is back on the docket, and this is important. It takes place December 11th. It's going to take place at the Somersville Arena and Conference Center. And I can't say enough about, it's unfortunate last year during the pandemic they didn't get to have their banquet. This is a very great organization for our community and much needed. This is where all the supplemental funds come to support our youth in their extracurricular activities. So this is what I tell people, and I put it out on a radio message too. This might be a year where you're still not ready to go to the banquet itself. They're going to spread things out. They're going to try to have it as much as they can, being respectful of the back end of the public health crisis we're in. But whether you can go or not, I still encourage you to think about buying a ticket. Our youth need the support, and of course, due to the fact that the association didn't get to have their banquet last year, you can imagine their funds are down. And of course, with everything kicking back up this next year, like always, the demand will come quickly knocking on their door. So I can't say enough about supporting the youth the youth athletic banquet or their cause, whether you can go or not. We have a couple members in here. Chief Jay Nowak is a member. You can get a ticket from him. Stevie, you're on that. Stevie LaRose is also a member of the association. I haven't missed anybody else in here. So I encourage you, reach out to one of those two guys, or if you know others, buy tickets. The last thing I want to say before we move into executive session is the committee, the selection committee to interview and hire an engineering firm. I believe at the last council meeting I actually mentioned to you all that we had 7 firms actually apply, architect, engineer, to be the company for our sports complex, recreation area. The committee narrowed it down to 3. The interviews were held last Friday. I got to tell you, across the board, we had, first of all, I'll say we're blessed because there were a lot of great companies that applied for it. We interviewed 3 great companies and selected one of them. And I will tell you that it's exciting because We are ready to move forward because the committee made a decision and we have hired Thrasher Engineering, who will handle the architect and engineering of our project. Excitingly, they brought a lot of great information in their presentation, and they are ready to hit the ground running. And this was critical. Timing on this was critical because the big grant that we're applying for, that grant is due at the end of January, and there's a lot of work to do in a month and a half to get that ready. I can tell you that we're still diligently putting subcommittees together, I'm talking about a soccer committee, I'm talking about a baseball, softball committee, I'm talking about a hiking, biking, mountain biking committee, I'm talking about a miscellaneous committee that'll cover all the other areas, and I'm also talking about the park or the playground committee. And of course, what we're going to do to not have this huge, big committee trying to oversee this is we're going to try to get as many people as we can, all people, all ages, involved in our subcommittees, and then one person from each one of those subcommittees will sit on the motherboard that will help make the final decisions on bringing the park together. The other thing I will tell you, council, we've set some money aside, and I'm going to encourage the subcommittees. If you remember budgeting going into this, we've got money set aside in the budget, and I'm going to encourage the subcommittees to go on the road. I myself last week had a grand tour and lunch down at Shawnee. Incredible. I myself have made arrangements with Mayor Andy Long, Bridgeport. I plan to visit him and have a tour up there. But what we need is we need lots of folks to do this, because it was amazing just spending last week at Shawnee a half a day what I learned. And a lot of things I learned is what they learned. And they've already got some great advice on things they would do different, and if you were going to do it this way. But I got to tell you, I was there last week, so not this last weekend, but the weekend before. I think I was even there on Monday or Tuesday. And that weekend before at Shawnee, they're keeping numbers because they're awful proud of their park that just opened up. The weekend before, so it'd be the weekend before this last weekend, they had a soccer tournament down there, and they ticked 5,000 plus people through the door, 120 teams represented by 10 states. And so you talk about economic development, and it's unreal what those things will do. And I got to tell you, you know, some people say, well, these things are all over. Well, we've got things to offer that others don't. And you know, the other piece that's going to be fantastic and unique to us is this biking, mountain biking, that's also going to be popular, and it's going to feed into this gateway of the new national park and, you know, the uptick of tourism. And then the other thing that I say to everybody, ours is going to be the affordable option. Because I truly feel that you can come to this rural area where we have 500 hotel beds in town, and you could spend a weekend here, and in a lot of cases I think it's a lot cheaper than some of these metropolitan areas that you can go to. Again, I think there's a lot of this to be had. People love coming to West Virginia. We're centrally located, and I'm telling you, I'm ramped and psyched about what we're going to make happen here in the city of Somersville. And you know, the great value that it's going to bring not only to our locals. Our kids are well deserving of facilities that are long antiquated, bringing our own local kids to facilities, but it's not only that, it's what we're going to do for our own local economy and capitalize on this new national park gateway to the national park tourism. Okay, if you can't tell, I'm a little bit excited. We got a lot going on. Council, any questions about anything, any comments that I've made?
Mayor, I'd like to say that I've heard several comments from the public about the Thanksgiving dinner, community dinner. And I think it was a huge success. I'm sure we'll need to maybe tweak some things next time, but overall I think it was well received.
Yep, and Jim, you know, man, you're a lifesaver. I'm going to bring you some lifesaver. Actually, and I remembered on the radio, but you're exactly right. We served over 600 meals, and of course, you know, City Council came and served, and so I'm thankful, you know, because people like to see that. But the other thing, I want to give thanks to the senior center. I can't remember how many pounds of potatoes they peeled. And of course, I heard a lot of good comments about the mashed potatoes, and that's because they were real mashed potatoes. But so the senior center, we still partnered with them, and they came and helped and got prepared, and even was there that day helping with a lot of the to-go meals for the shut-ins, but also ProStart. All the desserts this year were made by the Nicholas County High School ProStart program, which is that food service program that the school system works. And of course, those kids worked the whole time throughout the week helping us and attending to people that were there that day, as well as helping get the to-go meals and doing service inside for the people that were eating. So yes, Jim, great event, and thanks for reminding us to make sure that we thank especially our partners. Let me, council, you got any comments? Let me close with this. This week with Thanksgiving on Thursday, I encourage everybody, and I can't say this enough, I encourage everybody to take pause in their day, to think about and give thanks to the many blessings that we have. And we truly do in our lives. Even with some of the struggles we've had, we are still so blessed and have so much to be thankful for. I hope your day is full of good food, laughter, and quality time with your friends, family, and your loved ones. On behalf of myself and this body right here, we wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving, a blessed one and a safe one. And certainly we want everybody to have a happy Thanksgiving holiday. I'll close with this note, a reminder that the city and county offices are closed both Thursday and Friday. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. We have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll give 5 minutes for council.